In our last examples, let's take a look at some of the pen and ink work of Frank Frazetta. Now, we all know that he loved to paint, but of all the materials that he's ever used in his life, he said that his favorite thing to do was to work within the pen and ink style. In this drawing, we have a caveman who's getting ready to go out, maybe find some food, I don't know. But what I do know is that the line work in this is so amazing. Like, it has so much movement, like the way he moves the pen and the directions just like really gives you a sense of motion. Same thing here. In the pterodactyl's wings, we have all these really cool different lines going in all these different directions that are just really draw your eye. Look at how much motion that there are in these lines. It's motion. It's just happening. In the 1990s, Frank was diagnosed with a thyroid condition and had a series of strokes, which eventually led to him losing the use of his drawing hand.
Oh no.
Oh no is right. That would end most artists' careers, but not Frank Frazetta. This guy was such a badass that he taught himself to use his left hand to paint equally as well as he had with his right hand.
What?
That's crazy.
With his left hand, nobody can draw with their left hand.
Oh yeah? Well, Frank Frazetta did. All right, so the story goes that him and his wife Ellie are hanging out one night, okay? He's had these strokes, like he can't use his right hand anymore, but like he sees this painting that he gave her called the Maasai Warrior, and he's not happy with the face, you know? And this is a guy who's like, if he's not happy with it, he's gonna go back into it. So he takes it down, he scrapes the face off of it, okay, ruins the painting, and Ellie's like, oh my gosh, like, how is he gonna do this? He's like, I'm gonna learn how to use my left hand. She gets like so nervous, she can't even watch, she just goes to bed. And then the next morning, she wakes up, she comes downstairs, and like, the face is better. Like in one night, he taught himself how to use his left hand. She was just like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. The face was 100% better. And that's the story.
Wow. Space Baron can't draw with any of his hands, because he doesn't have any. Huh.
That's rude, robot. Frank lived to be 82, passing away from stroke-related complications in 2010, a year after his wife Ellie had passed away. In an interview with Empire magazine late last year, on the eve of auctioning his extensive Frazetta collection, Doc described his late pal as just a good guy. He wasn't a snob, but he suffered fools very poorly. You could have a beer or a cup of coffee with him and just talk normally with him, but he could deepen his level of conversation depending on what you brought. He was just that bright. He never catered to the art industry, Doc added, and he didn't seek out the art galleries on Madison Avenue or exotic publishers. They all came to him. And my favorite quote from Frank is, good or bad, the one thing I can say about my art is, if I can quote Sinatra, I did it my way.
Teacher, how do you feel about Frank Frazetta, honestly?
How do I feel about Frank Frazetta? Well, I think Frank Frazetta is a super badass, okay? This guy was just like, comes from a time where like they just don't make people like that anymore. Like, I don't know what was going on, but he comes from the greatest generation, and like that label totally applies to this guy. He's like working at 16, it's ridiculous. He's also like super ripped and cares about how he looks, and then is also like good enough to be on a baseball team potentially, but then he just likes drawing a whole bunch. It's just like, what? He's so cool. All right, class, now it's time for your homework assignment. Take a deep dive into Frank's fantasy world with the 2006 documentary, Frazetta, Painting with Fire. Or if you live in and around Pennsylvania, you can take a field trip to the Frazetta Art Museum located in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And also be sure to check out Frazetta art books, specifically Legacy and Testament. These are two of the best 4 Frazetta art books in existence. Join us next time on Greater Creators, where we're going to discuss the works of other amazing creators who influenced generations. Class dismissed.